number formatting, I can select this range of numbers here, even down here, and say I'd like that in currency or with dollar signs in front of it. You could go up on the toolbar and click on the currency style here, and then once you click on it, a few things are going to happen. First of which is that anytime you see pound signs, it means that the data can't all be seen in this cell here, in which case we want to click and drag to stretch the columns open so we can see the numbers. Or again, you can double click really quick in between those two columns to best fit those columns. Now the thing I don't like about selecting this currency option style here is that the dollar signs are all aligned to the left. That's fine if you'd like to do that. But what I'm going to do is instead go under the Format menu down to Cells and then click on the Number tab, and it says Currency, but really it means Accounting even though it says Currency Style. Because what's really weird here is that you got currency here. And then when I click OK, the dollar signs now hug the numbers, which look nice to me. And I can click and drag to make that look a little bit more uniformed and nice. Now really quickly, while we were there, again under the Format menu, or now that you have it selected, you can right click and left click on Format Cells. And then by selecting currency, we got some different types of styles we can use for example, do we want to use the symbol dollar sign? Do we want decimal places at the default too? Would we like negative numbers to be shown in black or red here with parentheses around them? That's a little bit more accounting. Negative numbers are in parentheses. You can leave it the default here. Maybe I will choose red and then click OK. So once I click off and I double click really fast in here and put my negative in, you'll notice when I double click that the formatting or for this cell the dollar sign disappears, so you can just see that you're working with numbers. You don't have to dance around that dollar sign. And then hit enter and automatically it updates to show the formatting style that I chose from the format window. Other thing is I can click up here for the date, right click it and go down to Format Cells, and then from date here I can choose another style, maybe something with the time on it, and then click OK. Again, can't see it, but if I click and drag, eventually I'll be able to see it. Next, let's do a custom format. So we have the employee ID number here. We can customize that to where maybe we can have the first four numbers and then a dash and the last two. In fact, if it was a social security number, here's how you do it. I'm going to click in cell B7 and use this as my guinea pig, this cell. In case if it goes awry, then I won't have to unapply it for all the rest. Of course, I do have my undo button. Right click, then left click on Format Cells. I'm going to go down here to the bottom and left click on Custom. Now you do have a number of types here for the cells with the coding and everything. Kind of give you a quick overview. You can select these formats here, and the left here is going to include a dollar sign. The pound sign is for any number. The 0 means that at least out of this range, if it has in the thousands, the last digit has to be a 0. And then you have your semicolon, which is a separator, and then you have the color red for anything that's a negative. In fact, we'll scroll down just a bit more. And we're looking for, they have a couple here that I've been working on, but you'll find your Social Security. You can left click on that and manipulate what you see up here. Now this is for the employee ID. Whatever's in the quotes is going to actually be displayed as text when I click OK, and right now this isn't the Social Security. I'm going to highlight SS and type in EIN, Employee Identification Number, or EE. And then you can see up in the sample that I've got zeros in front of it, but all my employees, they have no more than 6 digits. So what I can do is over here is delete the first couple of zeros and the dash, and maybe I want the dash because the first two numbers identify the employee's last name. I don't know. I can even delete that dash and put the dash between the last two numbers here. In any case, when I'm finished, I click OK, automatically adds it and looks really nice. And then that autofill handle is going to come in really handy because I want to fill in this formatting that I have in this cell, and you'll notice up in the formula bar it just has the number, it doesn't include the text. So Microsoft Excel is seeing them as two different things. This is more for you, a visual, EIN, it looks great, but when you actually deal with the numbers, it's not going to have the dashes up here or the text. So I can click and drag down over this, and automatically it's going to change the numbers. Now I haven't lost them. I simply have to click on that Smart tag and say I don't want you to change the numbers, or in other words copy the cells. I just want to fill the formatting only. So it keeps the employee's number here, but it only brings up and updates the formatting. So that's really cool and very helpful. Now we're going to kick this up a notch. Let's say throughout this whole spreadsheet I've got over hundreds and thousands of employees, and I made the change in all these with this formatting. Then the boss comes back or somebody says, look, EIN, that could also stand for Employer Identification Number, so how about if we do something EE and leave it as that, or EEID. In other words, they want to change it. To do that, I'm going to go up under the Edit menu and go down to Replace. Of course, when you click Replace, you do have the Find tab. So I could always hit Control F and then go to the Replace tab. And what do I want to find? First, I want to delete the information I already have in here, so it's blank. Now, when you click on this, if you don't see anything here, you may want to click on your Options button. If it's like that, click on Options to get more options. Now, for this Search and Destroy mission, I don't want to delete the numbers. All I want to do is find the format that has EIN and change it to EE, or Employee ID for identification. So instead of typing in the actual text I'm looking for the format. So I can do a couple of things here. I can click on the drop down arrow and either select format, and it pulls up this box here, and then I can select custom and scroll down and try to find the format here, which is right there. Or I can click cancel, and instead I can click the drop down arrow and choose the format from the cell. And you can see that everything disappears except for my little white cross and this little ink dropper. So I'm going to click on the cell, and it's going to suck in that formatting and put it right here, and I can see the preview of what I'm about to find. Now, what do I want to replace it with? Here we go. I'm going to click on the format arrow, and instead of choosing it from another cell, of course I could if I had another cell with the formatting that I wanted, but since I don't, I'm going to create my own. And left click on format, select custom. I'm going to scroll down through here again, maybe select this Social Security and then manipulate it and say it's employee space ID. Anything within the quotes is going to be displayed as text, and then you can still see my sample. And basically I want to keep it the same except for the text. And so I'm going to delete that, type my dash here, and well, I do want the color blue. Looks really nice, so I'm going to click on the font tab, click on my drop down arrow and choose that color. Maybe for font I do want to change that, so I'll type in Arial. It pulls up here, and that's going to be a little bit too large. I'm thinking for size 12, so maybe we'll do size 10 and make it bold, and then click OK. So here's before what I'm finding, and here's after what I'm replacing. So I can click Find Next, and it goes through and it finds them, and then when I'm ready I can click Replace and it replaces it. Or instead of doing all that, just click Replace All. It says it made 3 replacements, click OK, there it is. Now what you want to keep in mind is that if I close out of here and later on throughout the day I go, I'd like to find something, let me find that number 110. Well, it's right here, 110.25. I click off of here, let's say I can't see it. Control F to find. It's still going to be up there, that formatting. So even if I do type in 110.25, it's not going to find the number because it's looking not only for the number but the specific formatted number. So I click Find Next, it's like, I don't get what you're talking about. So be sure to clear your formatting. Click on the drop down arrow and clear the Find format, and then click Find Next and it'll find it. So don't forget, if you get frustrated, you can come back and watch this video, or you can remember to clear your formatting when you're finished. Even on the replace, it still remembers the formatting. So I can click on the drop down arrow and clear it as well, and then close. A few more things really quick. For your alignments, you can see these guys are left aligned. Doesn't look all that great. I can click on my Align Center, and then finally I can select a range of cells, and if I want to have Excel do an auto format for me, you do have a couple of templates to choose from by going up under the Format menu down to Auto Format, and you can see the different types of, well, they look like tables here, but they'll apply the format to whatever I have selected behind me. So I'll select this format and then click OK. It puts in the lines. It does the best it can with whatever you are working with, and it doesn't look all that great. I can go back, choose some other type of auto format, and click OK. It's nice because it centers this. I mean, this looks cool how it did it, but then even after you choose a format, you can still make some changes to it to update it to make it look a little bit better. But you want to be careful because, like I did, I just deleted my title. So make sure you know what you're doing here. One more thing, if you really want to get really funky with customizing your numbers, for example, I'm going to select this range again, go under the Format menu down to Cells, and instead of Currency I want to do Custom. And I'm going to scroll all the way down till I get these really detailed customs. It's towards the bottom. Now for coding, I'm going to do the best I can to explain this. If I want the numbers to be in $sign, I'm basically going to look at the first couple. You can see that they're cut off. In fact, when I select it, it lists it up here, and then you can click and drag and go over just a bit. And it gets cut off, so I don't think you can see that very well. Instead, I'm going to pull up Microsoft Word, and well, here's a sample of my dream notes here, 2003, the book that I published, and you can see it all right there. And I explain it down below. The first section is going to be all positive numbers, and they're sectioned off by the semicolon. So the first section's positive numbers, and that's how do I want to customize it. Do I want to have a $sign in there? Do I want it to have at least 2 decimal places, and those decimal places have to be zeros? I can replace the 2 zeros and put in pound sign, meaning they can be any numbers, but it's going to be, well, 0. It's going to round up or down. Then after the first semicolon, you have the second section, which is for negative numbers, and in brackets I said that I want it in the numbers in red. Also I want it to display a minus sign, and you can tell in the first section I want it to also display a positive sign for those numbers. After that we have the third section here, cut off or sectioned off by another semicolon. Magenta is going to be the color, and this is going to be for any zeros. So if there's a 0 in there, I want it to replace with the text null, and it's in quotes, as you can see. First set of quotes, second set of quotes. Then the last section is basically for any text. Now the text, if I just left the code blank, well, they could put text in there, not a big deal, but I could color the text. So long story short, we got 4 sections here. First one's positive, second one's for negative numbers. Do you want them colored? Do you want a different type of format, either a minus sign, a plus sign? Do you want the third section to have, if there's any zeros, do you want it to do something? Put in like the word null? Or do you just want to leave it with the closed quotes so there's nothing in between? So it just doesn't do anything. It's got nothing. So what I'm going to do is basically I'm going to copy this here. I'm going to try to remember that, but when we go back to our Excel spreadsheet here, and you can see it up here, and following the format here, I want to, in the first section, make sure I'm at the beginning. This is the positive section, so I'm going to put a plus sign in front of it, and you can see up in the sample, if you can see it in the sample, that means you're doing something good. So there's positive. And then what I want to do is I want to click in between the colon and the underscore and do my square bracket and type in red and close square bracket. Of course I could have positives as well if I click at the very beginning. Open square bracket, blue, and then close the square bracket. And well, if it was positive it would be in blue, but it's not going to show in the sample until after I click OK. Not to confuse things, I'm going to delete that. Also, I'm going to put in the minus sign before the $sign for negative. And you want to really adhere to the coding here. In other words, just don't put $signs anywhere within here. That's not going to work. And I'm going to keep scrolling over by using my right arrow key here. And then I don't have to have 2 decimal places for the negative numbers. I can delete that and not even have a decimal place for negatives. And the last number, if it's in the ones, will always be 0. So it'll round up or down. Then I go to the third section here, and by default, if it's a 0 number, it's going to have a dash. Well, maybe I don't want a dash. Maybe I want to say Zippo. And then that last semicolon separates it from the last section. So if there's any text in there, do we want it to do anything? Yeah. I'm going to do a square bracket and do cyan and close the square bracket. And then I'm going to click OK. Excellent. All positive numbers are in blue. Of course, we can't see them, so I'll stretch them out. They have the positive sign, they have 2 decimal places. Look at this one right here that's in red. It was the negative that we set up to put the minus sign in front of the $sign, and also we said that we didn't want any decimal places, and the number in the ones place is always going to be a 0, so it rounds up or it rounds down. And if you want to make changes to it, select it again, Format, to your cells, and by default it's highlighted, so you can come back up here and make your changes. Hey, thanks for watching. If you like my video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you subscribe to my YouTube channel, as soon as I upload a new video, you'll be notified instantly, and you can do that by coming over here and clicking on my face. You can also click here to support me, so for $2 a month, you can have access to over 2,700 training videos, all ad-free, and for a few bucks more, you can have access to my exercises, instructor notes, quizzes, certificate of completion, and a whole lot more.